What is your ha ha ha? Oh wait, your serious moment. My favorite musician is David Hasselhoff. I laughed straight in her face. Mind you, this is 30 years ago, but even then. My aunt was really into him too. Her and my mom saw him at the Tennessee State Fair and there were like 8 people there for his concert lol. He's a really popular singer in Germany. Do you have any data to back this up? Because I've lived there for 30 years and it's not what I saw. When I came back from lunch at work to find that one of the soft drink vendors, because at grocery stores they stock their own product, our stockers don't, loaded the pallets wrong and a tower of pallets fell, spilling soda tea glass everywhere. The boss, store manager, just so happened to walk into the back room at the same time, looked at me, and was like, "You saw it, you're cleaning it up." Thinking he was joking as he liked to do, I laughed it off. That's when he looked me dead in the eye and said, "No, I mean you're really cleaning it up because that's your job." Insert me spending the rest of my shift cleaning it up and my department head constantly calling me over intercom and getting yelled at and then written up the very next day because I didn't do my duties in addition to cleaning up that epic mess. Getting fired later that year was one of the best things to happen to me. Wow, I would not have acted so chill. A-hole boss stories really fire me up. I wish you got to quit in dramatic fashion for that extra satisfaction. What was he supposed to do? Punch the boss? Not punch him. Tell him to shove the job up his a-hole and that he'll find one where people treat him like an equal. I've quit 3 jobs in pretty spectacular fashion and they were all real satisfying. My last job I put up with for 3 years and I regret not calling my bosses on my last shift and telling them what I really thought of them. Also, I was a store manager in that job and I tried my best to be a good boss. Everyone got a B-day present and the day off. Shifts were easy to swap. New starters would watch me do the worst jobs in the shop for a week before I asked them to do it. Not hard to be a decent person. Sorry for the essay, but it's something I'm quite passionate about. Years back I dated a girl who would lie compulsively about random things. The first big example, I went to her place. She just got Assassin's Creed for the first time and was really getting into the story. Like a week later she was telling me how she just discovered her family were related to assassins from Florence. I thought it was a joke, but turns out she was serious, had changed her surname to something Italian on Facebook and had already spread the lie about on social media. In my head I was like, I literally watched you play Assassin's Creed last week, but she was gorgeous, way out of my league, so I put up with this and other crazy shit for another 6 months before I gave up. I want more stories. I got a sinus infection once and was prescribed nasal spray. Was at hers one night and was like, "Excuse me, by the way, I have to use this nasal spray thing." I got it to my nose and she screamed no, slapped it out my hand and was nearly crying. Said how her mum used it a year before and the spray went straight to her brain and nearly killed her. Now I don't know about that one, but it seemed to me that nobody ever explained to her that your nostrils aren't a straight passage to the brain as most kids believe. Another time told me her mum was a famous model in New York in the 70s, looked it up and couldn't find any proof, also her mum never mentioned it. Told me once she wrote a novel when she was 8 about fairies and it was nearly published, no idea what that means. The list goes on, man. I was so smitten and just surprised that she was into me, though I put up with it all like it's fine. I don't mind. She really liked Assassin's Creed. There's nothing wrong with that. I like Dragon Ball Z, but I'm not gonna tell people my dad's a Super Saiyan. Maybe you should. It can be a very liberating experience. An intern at the vet I work at was a very sheltered Mormon. He came to work one day panicked. He had his first kiss the night before, asked the girl to marry him, and was concerned about his wedding date. He was absolutely convinced that he got her pregnant by kissing her. Absolutely convinced. It took me a long time to register what he was panicked about because it sounded so absurd. He delivered hundreds of kittens and puppies by then. I just thought he had also learned about human reproductive anatomy as well as animals by then. I asked a coworker with what his son's name was, and he answered Legolas. After 2 seconds of laughing I realized he wasn't laughing. His son is actually named Legolas. My coworker's boyfriend is named Sully. When she told me I laughed and said, "So what's his real name?" Assuming it was short for Sullivan or just a nickname, she informed that that was indeed his full real name. Same here. I met a little boy named Merlin and kinda insulted his parents with my reaction. I was walking my dog a few weeks ago and came face to face with a guy with a small toddler and an Afghan hound. My dog can be funny with dogs he doesn't know, so I grabbed his collar as we approached. The guy saw what I'd done and so said loudly, "Merlin." Stop, and grabbed his dog and picked up the toddler. As we passed I said that's a great name for a dog. He looked insulted and said Merlin is my son's name. I was on a Christian camping week here in the UK. There were some Americans with us. I found a stone on the beach with some great fossils in it and was showing it to some kids. One of the Americans started talking about how God had put fossils in the earth to mislead the vain who trusted their own observations rather than the Bible. I, naturally, thought he was joking and burst out laughing, and he was just so offended. He complained about me to the people running the camp and they thought he was joking at first and laughed too. The gal we rented our apartment from very seriously said, "There is one thing I need to warn you about." We were ready for anything after this somber statement. "The last people who lived here say the apartment is haunted." We laughed and said, "Haha, you got us. You sounded so serious at first." She stared at us blankly. She totally meant it. "Well, is it? You know, I expected there to be some kind of reason. They may have thought that strange sounds, doors that lock themselves, or other odd little occurrences that happen in old houses. But there's none of that. It's a perfectly normal apartment and I have no clue where you'd get the idea it's haunted. There's only one logical explanation. You're the ghosts." Now there's a plot twist. Wait until I tell my boyfriend, he'll be excited about our new life status. I had an ex-girlfriend try to claim that we were common law married so she could sue for alimony in my house, despite not being together for a year, not living in the same home for any length of time, not sharing our financial situations with one another in the slightest, no shared bills, no joint account, etc. The basis for this was that I found it funny when friends joked that we were like an old married couple, and I didn't immediately clarify the situation to them, so that meant I'd accepted my role as her husband. Took a few court dates and she walked away disappointed, while I walked away with my legal fees and a little extra. I could have gone after her harder, but just what my lawyer got probably wiped out most of her savings and maxed out her line of credit, so I'd have been paying my lawyer to try to wring blood out of a stone. Some years ago, I went on a date with my now boyfriend. It was our first date together, but we weren't in a relationship yet. During our hangout, we were still getting to know each other, and at one point, he said, "What I'm learning is that you're a genuine person who cares about their loved ones. I like you." I didn't think too much of it and said, "Thank you." Fast forward to some hours later, he tells me again, "Hey, you know, I really like you." I smile at him and say, "Thank you, no. I like you, hahaha. Oh wait. You're serious." It all worked out in the end, but we always laugh thinking back to how oblivious I was. Out of curiosity, how was that not blatant enough? Like why the hahaha and stuff? Some of us are oblivious sometimes. My now wife said she flirted with me for over a year before I noticed it. Same with my husband. After we started dating, he was genuinely surprised at the creative ways I found for us hanging out. He was completely clueless. When I learned I had totally forgotten to attend almost every single class in one of my college courses. I forgot I had enrolled in it. A classmate asked me, "Haha, where have you been? You're never there when the teacher's taking attendance." And I was like, haha, funny. So anyway, oh wait, luckily it was only about a month into the semester and I managed to bring it back up to a low B. This is an anxiety dream that tons of people get and you literally lived through it. That's terrifying.